When a woman is truly alive in herself, there are no masks, no filters, no hesitation. She radiates an energy that you can feel before she even speaks a word. It's not about what she is wearing or how she looks, it's about the unmistakable presence that comes from being connected to herself in a way that cannot be faked. You can see it in her body language, the way she stands tall, shoulders rolled back, eyes steady, like she belongs exactly where she is, and she doesn't need anyone to give her permission to take up that space. She simply owns it with a quiet kind of power, and that power is magnetic. It pulls people in without trying. When she walks into a room, there is no need for announcement. Her energy does the talking, and the people around her respond because we are drawn to authenticity. We crave it in a world that tells women to shrink, to apologize, to second-guess themselves. Seeing someone fully rooted is electrifying. Her voice carries the same truth. It doesn't shake, it doesn't fade out. When she senses disapproval, it has a weight to it because it comes from a place of knowing rather than performing, and when she speaks from her center. She doesn't rush her words or lace them with nervous laughter. She lets silence hang because she knows her worth doesn't depend on filling the air. Her energy is what sets her apart. You can't touch it, you can't measure it, but you feel it deep in your chest. It's that fire that makes you sit up straighter, that makes you want to listen, that makes you want to follow. And the incredible thing is, this isn't about other people. It's not about being desirable or likable or impressive. It's about alignment. It's about the moments when a woman is no longer disconnected from herself, when she is no longer shrinking to make others comfortable. She isn't asking if she is too much or not enough. She simply is. She is full, she is alive, and she is unshakable. You see it when she laughs without apology, when she moves with intention, when she makes eye contact without flinching. You see it in the way she doesn't hesitate to say no when something doesn't serve her, and she doesn't apologize for that no either. You see it in the way she says yes to opportunities, to adventures, to experiences that scare her a little but light her up a lot. She isn't waiting for someone else to tell her she's ready. She knows she is. She is wet with possibility, wet with energy, wet with passion, overflowing and unapologetic. That's when you know she is tapped into her own source. She isn't comparing herself, she isn't performing, she is living, and that kind of presence cannot be ignored. And the truth is, we all have this within us, but so many of us bury it under fear, under self-doubt, under the need to be accepted, and yet the signs never lie. When a girl is alive in herself, she is undeniable, and the people around her feel it. She doesn't need to shout, she doesn't need to prove, she just is, and that is more powerful than anything else. Confidence is one of those qualities that people talk about as if it's some mysterious gift reserved for a lucky few, but in reality, it often begins with something as simple as body language. The way you carry yourself tells the world how you feel inside, and more importantly, it begins to shape how you feel about yourself. Shoulders back, chin lifted, eyes steady, these are not just random gestures. They are signals to your own mind and to everyone around you that you belong, that you are rooted, that you are not afraid to take up space. When a girl walks into a room with her posture strong and her gaze steady, you can feel the difference. It's not about arrogance or trying too hard, it's about presence, about saying without words, I am here, and I am unshakable. The fascinating thing is how much of this begins on the inside and then shows on the outside. When you are second-guessing yourself, your body tells on you. Shoulders slump, eyes dart, movements shrink, and you start signaling to the world that you're unsure, that you'd rather not be noticed. But the opposite is just as true. When you intentionally stand tall and meet the gaze of others, you begin to shift how you feel in your own skin. You start to access the version of yourself that knows she deserves to be seen and heard. Body language is not just a reflection of your confidence, it is a tool to create it. Think about the way people you admire carry themselves. They rarely fidget or fold into themselves. They occupy space fully. They walk with a pace that communicates direction and certainty. They hold their head in a way that says they trust themselves. That's not luck, it's practice, it's awareness, and it's a choice repeated over and over until it becomes second nature. And when it becomes second nature, the world reflects it back to you. People listen differently, treat you differently, and respond to your energy in ways that reinforce the strength you're showing. A confident body presence is not about being loud or demanding, it's about being grounded. It's about having a stillness that tells people you are not easily moved by outside forces. That's why steady eyes matter so much. When you look directly at someone, not aggressively but steadily, you communicate that you are fully present and not afraid of connection. Most people avoid eye contact out of discomfort, and so when you hold it, even briefly, it makes a statement without a single word spoken. A powerful voice is never just about volume, it is about truth, clarity, and the way it carries the weight of what you believe. When a woman speaks from a place of authenticity, you hear it immediately. Her tone is steady, her pace is deliberate, and her words have a kind of certainty that doesn't beg for approval. She is not trying to soften her thoughts so they land more gently, she is not rushing through her sentences as if worried she's taking up too much time, and she is not peppering her truth with nervous laughter. Instead, her voice becomes an extension of her presence, a reflection of the confidence she has cultivated within. What makes a voice powerful is not perfection, but conviction. People remember less of what you say and more of how you say it. When your voice is strong and unwavering, others are drawn to lean in, to listen closely, and to take your words seriously. That's why when someone speaks with a whisper of doubt, even if the message is good, it loses impact. But when someone allows their voice to be rooted in their truth, it doesn't just fill a room, it fills people with respect and attention. The power in a voice also lies in its ability to hold silence. A person who is unsure often rushes to fill the gaps, speaking quickly, layering sentence upon sentence, as if to protect themselves from judgment. But someone who trusts their own words is not afraid of a pause. They know that silence can be just as commanding as sound. The pause after a confident statement allows it to land, to sink in, and to resonate in the minds of those listening. That kind of command does not come from rehearsing every line, it comes from knowing who you are and refusing to dilute your message. Tone and resonance are equally important. A shaky or high-pitched voice can reveal insecurity, while a grounded, calm tone signals control. This doesn't mean forcing yourself to sound different, but rather letting your words flow from a place of centeredness instead of tension. Breathing deeply, slowing your pace, and allowing your natural tone to emerge creates a sense of authority that others cannot ignore. It communicates not only confidence but also calmness, and calmness is magnetic because it reassures others and makes them trust you more. Energy is one of those things you can't see but you can feel instantly the moment someone walks into a space. It either pulls you closer or makes you want to step back, and when it comes from authenticity it has a magnetic force that is undeniable. You know immediately when someone is putting on a show, pretending to be confident, faking excitement, or performing for attention, because that energy feels hollow. It doesn't land, it doesn't move you. But when the energy is real, when it comes from deep alignment and truth, it fills the room and touches everyone in it without needing to be loud or exaggerated. Authentic energy is steady, powerful, and contagious. It makes people pay attention without effort. Think about the difference between someone who is trying too hard and someone who simply radiates who they are. When a girl is rooted in herself, she doesn't need to force smiles or exaggerated gestures. Her presence alone communicates everything. She isn't busy trying to measure up to some standard or adjusting herself to fit expectations. She is herself fully, and that gives her an undeniable glow. That glow is energy, and it can't be manufactured through external things because it doesn't come from how she looks or what she wears. It comes from how she feels about herself and the alignment between her inner world and the way she shows up on the outside. Energy also shows up in small details: the way someone listens with their whole body, leaning in, giving full attention without distractions, the way their laugh is unfiltered and full, the way their movements match their words and feel natural instead of rehearsed. That is the language of authentic energy. It is not about being the loudest person in the room, it is about being the truest person in the room, and people are naturally drawn to that because authenticity is rare in a world filled with performance. When a girl's energy is authentic, you can feel that she isn't performing for applause, she isn't curating herself for approval, she is simply in her flow, and that flow is powerful to witness because it inspires others to drop their own masks and step into who they really are. Authentic energy gives permission to others to do the same, and that is why it becomes magnetic. It creates connection, it builds trust, and it opens space for others to feel safe around you because nothing about it is forced, it is simply real. Alignment is one of the most powerful shifts a woman can experience because it transforms the way she carries herself and the way others perceive her. When she stops shrinking for the comfort of others and stops chasing validation, she steps into a version of herself that feels whole and unshakable. Alignment means her words match her actions, her beliefs match her choices, her inner world is not at war with the way she shows up on the outside. There is no pretending, no mask, no desperate attempt to please everyone around her. She is grounded in who she is, and that grounding radiates in ways that cannot be faked. When someone is misaligned, it shows in hesitation, constant second-guessing, and an endless need for approval from others. They speak words they don't believe, they agree to things they don't want, they chase acceptance in places that only leave them emptier, and it drains their energy. People can sense the disconnection even if they can't name it, but when alignment is present, everything shifts. The girl no longer asks if she is too much or not enough, she simply allows herself to be. She doesn't negotiate her worth based on who is watching or what others think of her decisions. Her self-respect becomes the anchor, and it allows her to move through the world with certainty that doesn't need to be loud or defended. Alignment also changes the way she interacts with opportunities. She no longer waits for permission or overanalyzes every possibility. She recognizes what resonates with her values and she goes after it without hesitation. She knows that saying yes to what feels right and no to what doesn't is not selfish but necessary. This clarity makes her magnetic because people can trust someone whose actions and words are consistent. She is not bending with every opinion or trend, she is rooted in her own compass. There is also freedom in alignment, freedom from constantly editing yourself to fit expectations, freedom from the exhausting cycle of proving yourself, freedom from the weight of needing to be liked by everyone, because once you are aligned you realize the only validation that truly matters is your own. This is what makes alignment powerful. It is not about perfection, it is about truth, it is about dropping the performance and standing fully in your own presence without apology. Saying no without apology and saying yes to what lights you up is one of the clearest signs of true power, because it shows that a woman has stopped letting fear, guilt or pressure dictate her choices. When she can set a boundary with confidence and without drowning it in excuses, she communicates that her time, her energy and her well-being are valuable, and when she chooses to say yes to something that excites her even if it scares her a little, she proves that she is willing to trust herself more than the opinions around her. This balance of no and yes is not easy, but it is life-changing. Most people struggle with the word no because they fear rejection or conflict, they fear being misunderstood or judged, so they say yes to things they don't want to do, they agree to commitments that drain them, and in the process they slowly lose touch with their own needs. But when a woman learns to say no with steady confidence, she shifts the entire dynamic. She is no longer controlled by the fear of disappointing others. She understands that her no is not an attack, it is simply a declaration of her limits and her values. This clarity makes her stronger and earns her respect even from those who may not like the answer. On the other side, saying yes to what lights you up requires courage, because it means stepping out of comfort zones and trusting your own instincts. Too often people wait for someone else to validate their desires. They wait for a perfect moment or an invitation that never comes. But when a girl listens to the pull inside of her and says yes to the experiences, ideas or opportunities that make her come alive, she taps into a source of energy that is unstoppable. These yes decisions may not always make sense to others, but they align with her truth, and that alignment fuels her growth. The combination of no without apology and yes with passion creates a foundation of authenticity and freedom. It means she is no longer living by obligation or fear, but by choice and desire. Every no becomes an act of self-respect, every yes becomes an act of self-trust, and this balance sends a powerful signal to everyone around her. She cannot be manipulated, she cannot be guilted into shrinking, she cannot be talked out of her joy, because she has learned to honor her boundaries and her fire at the same time. This is what makes her unshakable and magnetic.